First of all, I want to make an appeal before I come to the main issue. In fact, in Ghana today, I doubt how many people are aware that livestock and fishes are part of this whole GMO transaction. And so if that is not the case, then I think that immediately I'm ready to sacrifice my time, talent, and other resources to join any team that will fight strongly against this introduction of this canker. And secondly, I'd like to see what we are doing in the area of fisheries and livestock to ensure that this GMO business doesn't come to pass. In many countries all over the world, the way they are able to sustain their fisheries industry is to practice what is called culture-based fisheries. What they do is that they strengthen the natural environment for the fish to grow naturally, and the harvest is achieved. In the area of livestock, you see, for those of you who did animal science, you agree with me that we, the human beings, so-called human beings, the animals and the fish, we all belong to one race on the surface of the earth. The fish, they have the animal race that they belong to, the livestock, the sea, and then the human race. So therefore, if we are saying that we are going to modify these two animals, which category of race would they belong to? Because when you go to Japan, we have fish in Japan. They are different from the fish that we have in our Ghanaian waters. If you brought them together, they will fight, some will destroy others, some will consume others. They are just not too different from the way human beings behave. So now, if we introduce different type of fish species into our Ghanaian waters, especially the Border Lake, one of the largest fish farms that you can find anywhere in the world, what is going to happen? If care is not taken, all the natural God-given fish that we have in our Ghanaian inland waters, they will all vanish. And I doubt if that is what we are looking for. So therefore, we need to highlight the issues that this kind of GMO business is bringing about. Why on earth should a businessman dictate which animal should live at which part of this world? I can't understand it. Because if you are introducing tilapia from some other country into our Ghanaian waters, is it the Japanese tilapia, the US tilapia, the Russian tilapia? Or which of the tilapias? No, this is so fantastic. Then at the end of it all, why should people have to sign to go by this kind of transaction that is going on? Why at all? Sorry. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Sometimes, let me say that this workshop, as you have indicated, is capacity building and skill sharing workshop. And therefore, opinions that are expressed are personal or to the various associations. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions of good sovereignty, but we have all come together to share ideas and skills. Let me make that remark. Now, there are questions that have been asked. Dr. Fletcher has raised the question of science and ethics, which is very critical. Which way is human society heading with all this kind of scientific discoveries and all? What will be the end product? One question that has also been raised is how do we involve farmers and students in various schools in this fight against the GMO? We have also been told about Africa and what we have and how we need to protect it. the resources we have. We have also, Dr. Kofi Asari of the Vegetarian Institute has raised the issue of finding solutions to the problem that we are facing. Not necessarily always describing the solutions, finding solutions to them. And ended up by giving us a very fine statement that the powerless majority can overcome the powerful few. I think it's a worthwhile aphorism to remember. Now, we have also been made by way of an appeal as to also save the consequences that we can have when we have tilapia from Japan coming to Ghana or other resources. I will give you the opportunity to react to any of the questions, and then we'll take it from there.
I would like to look at the question that was asking how much of farmers' engagement in the works of food sovereignty Ghana. And I must say that we have involved a very large number of farmers in the work we are doing, and I can see some of them here. But let me quickly add that food sovereignty Ghana came to be right when the Biosafety law had been passed through Parliament, and also the Plant Breeders Bill had come up. But before then, the issues of GMOs across the world has been one issue that a very good number of Ghanaians have been discussing, either on their computers, through mails, or through official platforms. So we thought of coming together to, better shape our ideas and make sure that we have proper, understanding of what the issues really are. And we were amazed by the very first call to our very first meeting at which the decision for the formation of Food Sovereignty Ghana came up. And it was all volunteers and dedicated young men and women, market women, workers' unions, who encouraged us to put this together. And if today you see our prominence all over the country, it is because volunteers and individuals have decided to take the message to the length and breadth of our country. And farmers have been very much involved in our work. But we don't seem so much to be, bringing them or seem to be doing so much farmer activities now, because our focus has been more on the Biosafety Act and the Plant Breeders Bill and all of the other policies that are passing through Parliament at the moment, whose passage is going to have a very, 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 a big havoc on Ghanaian agriculture. So don't get it wrong. We have involved many farmers. In fact, we have visited farmers in Ofuma and other parts of the country, but we are going to do more, this year. So anyone here who wants to take part in this process must understand that our doors are open and all of you are invited to participate very actively.
So, thank you. I think I will take a bit of time because I will answer to a few questions because it sums up quite well the movement that we're having in Germany and a lot of things my organization is working on. So I was very happy to see the vegetarian union here because we work also very closely with them in Germany because meat production is one of the biggest themes in Germany and it's a big concern. But I want to start with the school theme, with the school meal issue, because I think that is something very crucial to go to the schools and to teach people how to consume the right food and to deliver the right food to schools and to hospitals. And that is something where partner organization of us in Brazil have been very, very successful in the last 10, 15 years, because there is now a law that 30% of the school meal also on the meal in hospitals needs to come from local farmers, from agroecology farmers, and they get a 30% price increase if they deliver organic products. This program really helped the farmers to organize and to find markets for crops of food sovereignty, not only for crops for supermarket chains or for big food chains, but really bringing them back to the local markets and giving them the power to increase their production and really come up again with local crops, with the local biodiversity, and to redevelop and to regrow their local seeds. So there are now programs led by the government under control of civil society in Brazil, which also encourage agroecology seed breeding, where the government engages with farmers to come up with own agroecology seeds. That is something we want to see even more in Africa, because we see there's a need for agroecology and agroecology seed breeding, farmer-led, and that's where we want to push also our government to give our German resources. I mean, we as Bread for the World, we give already resources to some villages, and we highly encourage seed banks and everything. But that is something where we want to shift our German government to really to support agroecology and agroecology seed breeding, and to give funding so that these nice school meal programs can also be done in Ghana, and to really link scholars with producers, because if they know what they eat, they will ask for different food. That is something very, very, very important. And right now the German government is rather giving the money to agribusiness, but we wanted to give it to local farmers. So, coming back to the vegetarian association, for us it's a big theme, and we had it with the farmers here. Meat production in Germany is a major pusher of GMOs outside of the country, because we are importing 80% of our animal feed, looking at protein feed, and that's mainly GMOs from Brazil, Argentina, or Paraguay, GMO soy, and that is the main driver. And we have an increasing animal production sector at the moment, which is causing a lot of unrest in our civil society, and we consume way too much meat in Germany, which leads to a lot of health problems. So this demonstration in Germany, what I spoke about with the 30,000 people, it's a lot of people who say we have to stop animal mass production. We need to go back to just eat as much meat as we need, or we should rather become vegetarians to really live a sustainable lifestyle for the world and for us. And it links directly to Ghana, because in Germany we are so rich and we produce so much meat that we only eat parts of the animal, and the rest of the meat is exported to Africa, and a lot of poultry meat from Germany is ending up on the Ghanaian market and destroying the local animal production here, or in other Western African countries. So it's a vicious circle that we see, which is good, very, very bad, and it leads, of course, also to breeding of the. I mean, we're talking a lot about seeds furthermore, and I think that is very important. But the same thing we're having with animals. I mean, most animals are bred in the north. They're not adapted to local conditions, and they're adapted to a certain kind of feed. They're not not sustainable anymore, I would say. So I think we have to also address the problem of meat production. But I think one very, very healthy way forward is really to go to schools and also ask maybe the Ghanaian government to provide free school meals linked to smallholder farmers, so that people know what they eat, and that and that also that farmers are really linked to the markets and don't have to go through the big food chains. And then the Ghanaian government should address the German government and say, okay, if you give development aid, give it for something sustainable, for something that really addresses the needs of the people, the needs of the poor, the needs of the farmers. Because, as you said, there are not enough jobs in Accra to swallow all the farmers leaving the rural countryside. So, thank you.
Thank you. Can you give them a round of applause? I think we will go to the next session, and I'm still appealing to the press to stay a little longer with us, so that at least the issues that are being raised would at least through you reach to the wider public. Now, our next on the item is to invite Mariam Mayet from the African Center for Biosafety to make a presentation about an overview of the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety and the Nagoya Protocol on Liability and Redress, implications for biosafety regulations in Ghana. Let's welcome. Please.
So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to thank FSG and all of you for inviting us to Ghana to be with you here today and tomorrow as well. And we really came to share with you some experience and some knowledge we acquired over the years, because we in South Africa have been growing GM crops for more than 12 years. And we are the only country in the world where our staple food has been genetically modified. So it's within the context that we see wholesale inequity in our food systems, complete corporate control of our food production systems. We see that only two companies, Monsanto and DuPont, Pioneer Hybrid owns our entire maize seed industry. That 10 companies control the entire maize value chain. It's the issues around inequity, marginalization of small farmers, rising food prices, environmental impacts, and the wholesale unsustainability of the technology that I think has driven us to come to Ghana and share some of our experiences with you. What I want to do today is, I don't want to give a very technical presentation. I want to just focus on the biosafety protocol, because Ghana is a party to the protocol and it's now 10 years in effect. And I want to discuss some provisions in the protocol by also making references to the Ghana biosafety law to make it relevant to you. I'm not going to really deal with the Nagoya protocol on liability and redress because it hasn't come into effect yet. Okay? Still many countries will sign onto it, whereas on the table for Ghana now is your biosafety law, what you're going to do about it, what your rights are in respect to this law, and what to do about the field trials already in your field. So I'm going to try not to go through all the slides. You have the presentation in your pack, but just to rather focus on key concepts. I must say that your biosafety law is one of the worst in Africa. It's called international instruments. And you can see, I don't know how many of you have looked at your biosafety law, very, very peculiar language used. And it's almost as if it was written in another language, not English, and translated into English. Very peculiar language like potential exposure to the genetically modified organism. What does that mean? On the disposition of the application. So, and I've seen this language in other laws. It's almost as if one person drafted the laws in Africa. They were translated into English and distributed. So, can you go to the second slide, please? Second one. Okay, I just want to show you how many different international instruments potentially impact on the regulation of GMOs. And I have to tell you that the Cartagena protocol, which your country is a party of, is like a child of the bigger international agreement called the Convention on Biological Diversity. And the big debate in the context of that protocol was very, very much about large bulk shipments of GMOs moving around the world. Because all the money and the most amount of trade in GMOs is in the bulk shipments of grains for food, feed, and processing. Not so much the seeds that are moving around the world for planting. Those are in very small packages. So a lot of the debate around the protocol was about these bulk shipments. that come into Africa for food aid, that come into our countries as feed. And they wanted very, very little regulation. So that was the big fight about these bulk shipments, okay? So I just want to tell you at the bottom, there is a lot of scope, and I don't know whether African governments have really taken advantage of the scope they have at their disposal to put in place bans, moratoriums, very different approaches to the regulation of GMOs, but they have chosen, as Ghana has chosen, to do a very permissive regulatory system. Okay? Next slide, please. So I just want to say that when you think about international regulation of GMOs, the most important instrument will be the Cartagena Protocol, and it's already 12 years old. Next slide. I'll go to the next slide. And the most important thing I want you to remember about the parent agreement under which the Biosafety